Hey fans, this is your girl from Mel's Match Hat, and this is your official WWE SummerSlam preview and predictions. You can tell that I'm not in my own kitchen. I'm actually on location, and it's at my cousin's house. So I am a little out of my element, so you're just gonna have to bear with me, okay? You hear the air conditioning on in the back. I'm sorry about that, but I have no choice keeping it on. I will fry up here, okay? So let's get down to the nitty gritty. Come on. It's SummerSlam weekend, and we usually take, we usually have this on a Sunday. This has to be on a Saturday, which fucks me up no end. I'm going to my uncle's 60th surprise party tomorrow at 11:30 in the morning. Supposedly, I'm gonna go out back to my aunt's house afterwards to have dinner, and then I'm gonna be able to go home. I'm probably not gonna watch half of this. Thankfully, I have my own phone, and I'll just keep through my ear, and that'll be the end of it. So let's get this party started. And this is your preview and predictions of WWE SummerSlam 2022. We start off with the usual suspects. Please go check out harrys.com and get all your shaving and toiletry essentials there. Please go check out Maestro Classics at maestroclassics.com and get all your beard essentials. Please go check out liquiddeath.com and get those 3 luscious, deadly flavors, which are mixed berry, lime, and mango orange. Also, please go check out deathwishcoffee.com and get those 2 wonderful flavors. The one limited to blueberry vanilla, and the other one is espresso. It is so good. So good, so good. Also, please go check out hogwrestling.net. And if you cannot be here August 28th for High Intensity 8 at Terminal 5, you can watch it on Fight TV. But if there is tickets still available, please go check them out at hogwrestling.net. Also, go check out Outbreak Wrestling at Outbreak Wrestling on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Please also go check out all my social media, which is Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, Mel's Map Chat. Please also go check out my Facebook page and my Snapchat. All right, we're going to get into this. We're just going to go right into this. We start off with Monday Night Raw's Go Home Show. So we go straight into the ring where Logan Paul and The Miz are already brawling, throwing punches as they roll around. Referees and officials make their way into the ring after a few moments and finally break them up. Jimmy Smith says Paul was in the ring with a microphone right before the live broadcast began and was called out by The Miz. And Miz answered him, and the brawl began. We get a quick replay of what happened just before the broadcast started and what followed. This was definitely unique and eye-catching way to start the show. Out of the replay and into the arena, the Bloodline makes its entrance. Graves mentioned Roman Reigns walking the same aisle Bruno Sammartino once walked in Madison Square Garden, because we were at the Garden. My backyard. Okay. The crowd chants Roman as they wait for Reigns to speak. He finally takes the microphone from Paul Heyman and requests that Madison Square Garden acknowledges him. The fans obliged. Reigns summoned Heyman and says he doesn't feel like talking anymore and passes the mic back to Heyman. Heyman welcomes everyone to the Island of Relevancy. The mic cuts out and they go to a wide shot while someone passes a new mic to Heyman. Heyman says the sound guy must be from Jersey and he could be the next guy to go because of all the firings and Stephanie being appointed permanent co-CEO and Triple H, the whole kit and caboodle. Heyman says Sunday marks 700 days of Reigns' title reign. Heyman says he plays perfectly into Brock Lesnar, who likes to piss on everyone's parade. Heyman recalls Lesnar ruining Randy Couture's title reign, The Undertaker WrestleMania winning streak, and John Cena's comeback match at SummerSlam last year. Heyman says Lesnar is going to ruin the party for Reigns. Heyman compares Reigns-Lesnar rivalry to Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock and Hulk Hogan versus Randy Savage. Heyman says it's time for Lesnar to go back to Saskatchewan and slaughter a bunch of hogs. Heyman hypes this Saturday's match with the last match ever between Reigns and Lesnar and says Reigns will rid himself of Lesnar once and for all. Heyman says after Saturday night, Lesnar will not be able to stand at all. Theory's music hits and we are interrupted by the very same microphone in hand. Theory says it's funny that the Bloodline talks a lot, but they forgot about him. He says he'll take back his United States Championship on Saturday night at Summerslam and then cash his Money in the Bank contract and win the undisputed Universal Championship. The crowd is giving him a loud "what" chants. Theory stops at the bottom and of the entrance aisle. Reigns gets on the mic and asks if Theory is going to stop right there. He says if Theory is going to come into his arena, he should at least get in the ring and acknowledge his tribal chief. Theory gets in the ring ready with his briefcase. Reigns chuckles and says Theory is a little nervous. Reigns turns to Heyman and says they like him. Reigns tells Theory, your daddy is not here anymore. The crowd audibly gasps. The Usos laugh. Reigns tells Theory this is his ring as the crowd chants Daddy's Boy. The next chant is Who's Your Daddy? Reigns says if Theory keeps messing around, the tribal chief will be his daddy. Reigns says I run the garden now. The Bloodline leaves and one of the Usos take a cheap shot at Theory on his way out. Theory responds by whacking him with the briefcase. The Bloodline pauses but laughs it off and continues to leave. The crowd taunts Theory is no more. Who's your daddy chants. We go to commercial break. Back from the break, the ring announcer introduces Theory, who is still in the ring, microphone in hand. Theory barely gets a word out, and Drew McIntyre's music interrupts him. McIntyre enters. Graves exclaims, he doesn't even go here. McIntyre versus Theory. The bell rings, and McIntyre flattens Theory with a clothesline. McIntyre drops Theory in the corner. McIntyre powers Theory up from one knee into a vertical suplex. Theory fires back with punches. A chop by Theory has no effect on McIntyre. He turns Theory into the corner and fires back with a bunch of punches and then tosses Theory out of the corner with a vertical suplex. A jawbreaker by Theory breaks McIntyre's momentum. He whips McIntyre into the corner, but McIntyre comes straight out with a clothesline and follows with a overhead suplex and a future shock DDT. McIntyre singles for the Claymore, but Theory rolls out to the ring floor. Theory catches McIntyre coming out with a kick, but McIntyre quickly turns the tide and press slams Theory onto the announce desk. We come back from break. McIntyre hits a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker for a 2 count. Theory avoids a charging McIntyre, and McIntyre spills over the top rope to the floor. Theory waits in a ring. McIntyre gets up on the ring apron, and Theory slams him against the ring post. He follows him out to the floor and throws McIntyre into the steel ring steps. Theory gets back into the ring and waits. McIntyre beats the count, and Theory is right on him with punches. Theory takes his time, but McIntyre blocks a suplex attempt and takes him over with his own vertical suplex. McIntyre and Theory trade punches in the center of the ring. McIntyre gets the better of the exchange. He follows with a spinebuster for a 2 count. McIntyre lines up for a Claymore, but the Brawling Brutes come down to the ring, and the referee calls for the bell. The Brutes and Theory gang up on McIntyre in the ring. Bobby Lashley music hits, and Lashley runs down to the ring. He and McIntyre clean house. Jimmy Smith acknowledged they have been adversaries in the past. Theory tries to sneak up on them with a briefcase, but catches him in the act, and Theory runs away. We go to commercial. Back from the break, a tag team match underway. We're told Adam Pearce made it during the break, made it official. This is getting ridiculous, honestly. Theory gets McIntyre down and tags in Sheamus, who stomps away in the corner. Sheamus leans a knee into McIntyre's face. In the corner, McIntyre fights back from his knees, but Sheamus cuts him off with an Irish curse, backbreaker. Sheamus stomps on McIntyre in the center of the ring and fires forearms into his lower back. McIntyre blocks a punch and fights back. Sheamus cuts him off with a punch to the gut and teases that he'll tag Theory, but doesn't reach far enough for Theory to tag him. The commentary team says Sheamus is toying with Theory. McIntyre hits a Glasgow kiss headbutt and tags in Lashley. And Lashley runs over Sheamus with shoulder tackles and running clothesline into the corner. Lashley powers up Sheamus with a vertical suplex and catches Theory, coming in with a flatliner. Lashley clotheslines Sheamus over the top rope to the floor. Lashley goes to the floor and charges towards Theory, but Sheamus interrupts with a rising knee strike. In the ring, Butch is in the ring and staring down McIntyre, who's on the apron. And Holland tries a sneak attack, but McIntyre takes out both of them. The referee ejects Butch and Holland from ringside. We go to commercial break. We come back. Theory is in control of Lashley with a rear chin lock. Theory switches to a traditional chin lock to keep Lashley grounded, but Lashley fights to his feet. Theory clubs him with a forearm and tags in Sheamus. Sheamus knocks McIntyre off the ring apron with a cheap shot. Lashley catches him with a spinebuster. McIntyre is back on the apron and gets a tag. Theory also tags in McIntyre, runs wild with an overhead suplex and a reverse neckbreaker. McIntyre goes for the Future Shock DDT, but Theory escapes. He runs into a sit-out powerbomb by McIntyre for a 2 count. Lashley tags in. Sheamus low bridges McIntyre to send him out to the floor. McIntyre roars back and clotheslines Sheamus to the floor. They brawl until Sheamus hits white noise on McIntyre on the floor. Theory signals for A-Town and hoists up Lashley, but notices Dolph Ziggler has made his way to ringside. Lashley slips out and back and puts Theory in the hurt lock and gets the submission. So Lashley and McIntyre defeated Sheamus and Theory. After the replay, we see Theory posing at the top of the entrance aisle. He turns around into stereo super kicks by the Usos. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman walk out, and Reigns lay the Money in the Bank briefcase across Theory's chest. Back at the announce table, the commentary team tosses to a video package on Rey Mysterio's highlighting his WWE debut 20 years ago. He and his rise up the ranks to become World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 22. We get a video from earlier tonight showing Rey Mysterio arriving at the arena with Dominic and the rest of his family. The celebration is next, but first we go to commercial break. Back from the break, we get another spooky video. Hand is seen writing "I'm coming" in a thick red liquid. Backstage, Dolph Ziggler is walking. Kevin Patrick catches up to him and asks him to explain his actions. Ziggler says he just thinks Theory needs to be taught a lesson. AJ Styles walks into the scene, but doesn't get much out before American Alpha interrupts. Chad Gable walks about Theory surpassing Styles and Ziggler. Accomplishments. Gable wants to beat the jealousy right out of them tonight. Styles accepts. Back in the arena, the ring announcer introduces Rey Mysterio. Rey enters with Dominic. Dominic should have actually stayed in the back. This had nothing to do with him. Rey gets on the microphone and the fans chant, "Thank you, Rey." Rey says 20 years is really special. Rey talks about being 14 years old when he had his first match and he never imagined he would one day perform inside a WWE ring. Rey says the truth is the guys his size were not part of the business back then. He says he broke that so-called blueprint of the superstar should look like. Rey talks about becoming the world champion at WrestleMania 22. He says he made a lot of friends. Along the way, he paved the way for him. He mentions Dean Malenko, Batista, Kurt Angle, Edge, and Eddie Guerrero. The crowd responds with Eddie chants. Rey says he loves and misses Eddie every day. Rey says he wouldn't be where he is without him. And he knows Eddie is watching over him every day. Rey says he feels truly humbled and appreciative for the love and support the fans have given him for the past 20 years. Rey and his wife and daughter are watching backstage. He thanks them for always being there. We cut to a shot where Rey's family are watching the monitor backstage. Rey and Dominic, he's proud of him and he knows when he is done, Dominic will represent the Mysterio name to the fullest. Rey speaks a few sentences in Spanish, and I apologize that I'm not able to translate, but he gets a nice response from the crowd. We see Finn Balor approaching the ring from the crowd and clapping. Damian Priest approaches from the other side of the arena, and they make their way to ringside area. We go to the commercial break, and we have the Mysterios versus the Judgment Day. So Balor is in control of Dominic, but Dominic avoids a charge and tags Rey. Rey hits a head scissors takedown and tags in Dominic. Dominic powerbombs Rey on the top of Balor. That gets a 2 count. Rey tags in, mounts Balor in the corner for a series of punches. Balor reverses a whip and Rey hits hard into the opposite corner. Balor tags in Priest. Priest floors Rey with a forearm shot and chokes him across the bottom rope. Priest whips Rey hard into the corner and follows with a flying elbow for a 2 count. Priest grounds Rey with an armbar and tags in Balor. Priest slams Rey in and Balor slingshots in with a double stomp. Balor grounds Rey with a chin lock. Rey quickly fights to his feet with an enziguri and tags in Dominic. Dominic hits crossbody for a 2 count. Dominic takes down Balor, who makes a blind tag to Priest. Dominic dives to the outside and gets caught by Priest, who slams Dominic into the barricade. Back from the break, Balor and Dominic are the legal men. A double clothesline leads to them tagging in Rey, and Priest hits a springboard crossbody and seated senton from the top rope for a 2 count. Rey charges into a super kick by Priest for a 2 count. Priest lifts Rey for the Razor's Edge, but Rey escapes with a Hurricane Rana. Priest lands on the middle rope, but Balor tags himself in and floors Rey with a shotgun dropkick. Balor lands a coup de grace, but Dominic breaks up the pin attempt. Priest gets a steel chair and Balor dumps Dominic out of the ring. He passes the chair to Balor and distracts the referee. Balor tosses the chair to Rey and tries the Eddie Guerrero trick, but the ref doesn't turn around to see it. Rey turns the tables and does it to Balor. Dominic rallies and helps Rey hit a double 619 on Balor. Priest and Rey finishes Balor with a splash from the top rope to get the pin. Mysterious defeated the Judgment Day via pinfall. Back at the announce table, commentary team tosses it to a video of Cody Rhodes and Titus O'Neil at the ESPY Awards last week, and Rhodes receiving an ESPY for the WWE Moment of the Year. Backstage, Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair is walking. She is next, but first we go to commercial. Back from the break, we see the mysterious family celebration backstage. Ray and Dominic enter to join the celebration. Someone pops a bottle of champagne. Ray passes him a bottle of tequila. Ray's daughter Aaliyah fetches a gift. Ray opens it, and it's his ring gear from Halloween Havoc 1987. Ray wants to know where she found it. She says she had to dig. They turn around and Rhea Ripley has entered the room. Aaliyah confronts her and tells her to get out of here. Ripley pie faces Aaliyah and drags Dominic out of the room by his hair. Ray follows her out and runs into an attack by the Judgment Day. They drag Ray down the hall and Priest powerbombs Ray into a table. Quick note, Rhea Ripley seen Buddy Matthews, okay? So you take it from there. Back at the announce table, commentary team is disgusted. Jimmy Smith starts to toss it to highlights of how we got to Bianca Belair Becky Lynch match at SummerSlam, but Belair is already making her entrance. They pause to let Belair get to the ring, and Saxon tosses to the video package again, and this time we get it. Back in the arena, Belair is in the ring with a microphone. Before she can say a word, Becky Lynch makes her entrance, microphone in hand. Lynch starts to speak, but Belair cuts her off. Belair says she's not here to listen to Lynch run her mouth. Belair runs through her many ESTs. Lynch gets frustrated and lays out Belair. Belair takes down Lynch, and they start brawling in the ring. Lynch is close to a manhandle slam, but Belair escapes and lifts Lynch for the KOD. But Lynch escapes to the ring apron and pulls Belair out by her braid. Belair tackles Lynch over the announce table. Referees and officials finally arrive on the scene to separate Lynch and Belair, who are still ready to fight. Commentary tosses two highlights from 2 weeks ago. Bliss and Asuka defeating Doudrop and Nikki ASH. Backstage, Sarah Schreiber interviews Alexa Bliss. She asks Bliss about facing Doudrop tonight and what's next for her. Bliss says she doesn't get why Doudrop and Nikki are so obsessed with her. Bliss says Lily is a #1 seller on WWE Shop. Speaking directly into the camera, Bliss said she's next in line for whoever wins between Belair and Lynch are at SummerSlam. Into the arena, Bliss makes her entrance. She faces Doudrop next, but first we go to a commercial break. Back from the break, we see doctors attending Rey Mysterio backstage. The Judgment Day stroll up, and Dominic goes to confront them. In confusion, Rhea Ripley walks in and kicks Ray right in the shoulder. Back in the arena, Doudrop makes her entrance. We have Bliss and Doudrop. Nikki gets on the ring apron and grabs Lily. Bliss knocks her off, but turns right into a crossbody by Doudrop for a 2 count. Doudrop works over Bliss's left arm. Commentary questions why Doudrop and Nikki are friends. Doudrop slams Bliss for another 2 count. Doudrop puts Bliss in a cobra clutch. Bliss fights her to her feet and punches out of it. Doudrop maintains control for a short arm clothesline for a 2 count. Doudrop slams Bliss into the corner and drives her shoulder into her. Doudrop misses a charge. Bliss tries to fire up but gets cut off with a headbutt. Bliss keeps coming and gets Doudrop down to her knees with a series of strikes. Bliss hits a low drop kick for a 2 count. Bliss tries for a DDT, gets powered into the corner. Doudrop misses another charge into the corner. Bliss climbs on top of the turnbuckle, but Nikki knocks her off. While the referee's back is turned, Doudrop lifts Bliss, but Bliss reverts to a DDT, and that gets the win. So Bliss wins. We have backstage. AJ Styles talks to Logan Paul, sorry. Styles says he liked what Paul did earlier tonight, and if he needs anything, let him know. He says if he doesn't know Paul very well, but likes The Miz even less. Paul will host his impulsive TV segment next, but we go to commercial. Back from the commercial break, we get a replay of Logan Paul and The Miz brawling at the top of the show. Back in the arena, Logan Paul makes his entrance. He steps into the ring and grabs a microphone, and he calls out to New York City for a cheap pop. He mentions his brother's fighting at MSG next weekend, so it's this weekend, and the crowd boos. Paul says this is the debut of Impulsive TV, and he says he wants to finish what he started earlier, and he calls out The Miz. Miz does not enter. Paul says he actually surprised. He calls out Miz again. Again, nothing. Paul says he's backstage hiding. Maurice interrupts Paul and makes her entrance, microphone in hand. She says she doesn't appreciate how Paul is talking about The Miz. She makes a sure plug to Ms. and Mrs. She tells him not to talk about her kids ever again. Maurice steps into the ring and says she doesn't like Paul talking about her husband's package. The crowd tries to start a tiny balls chant, and Maurice insists it's not a thing. Maurice details the average size of a man's testicles and ensures Paul that Miz falls in with those parameters. Paul asks who measures their own balls. The Miz music plays and he enters. He says he does measure his balls, and so does every man in the arena. Miz says he gave Paul everything. If it wasn't for him, Paul wouldn't have been at WrestleMania, and he wouldn't have had a WWE contract. Miz says he wouldn't have a. Miz says Paul everything he knows, but not everything Miz knows. A la Mr. Perfect. If you didn't correlate that saying. Paul says he's not getting nice guy Miz. He's getting main event Miz. Paul cuts off Miz. He says he called him out to fight, not to talk. Paul mentions Miz's tiny balls once more, and Maurice slaps the microphone out of his hand. Champion appears and sneak attacks Paul. Paul fights off both of them for a bit, but eventually they overwhelm Paul. Miz finishes him off with a skull-crushing finality. The crowd chants more time. Miz does not oblige. Back at the announce table, the commentary team tosses it backstage to Kevin Patrick, who interviews the Street Profits and the Usos and Jeff Jarrett. Montez Ford says they'll get a preview of SummerSlam tonight. They start to push and shove, but Jarrett is keeping them separated. He says anyone who gets out of line tonight, he'll remember it at SummerSlam. Jarrett walks away, and both teams hit their catchphrases. Jarrett returns, and they stop arguing. Back in the arena, AJ Styles makes his entrance, followed by Dolph Ziggler. They face Alpha Academy next, but first we have to go to a commercial break, as per usual. Back from the break, Styles and Ziggler are waiting in the ring. Alpha Academy comes out and makes his entrance. Chad Gable had a microphone and tells everybody to shush. He tells them not to boo an Olympic and college graduate. Gable says the island they live on will soon sink under the weight of a human garbage living on it. Gable says Styles and Ziggler are just a couple of guys thrown together. He compares them to the New York Knicks. You don't do that, okay? At Madison Square Garden, you are a fucking moron if you do that. He tells the crowd to take a look at a real tag team. Gable starts off because they have a match. They have a tag team match. Gable starts off against Ziggler. They do a little mat wrestling before Ziggler hits a drop kick and tags in Styles. Styles hits his own drop kick and Gable retreats to the floor. Styles follows with a phenomenal forearm to Gable on the floor. We're back from a break. The Academy, the Alpha Academy are double teaming Styles with a double back body drop. Otis covers for a 2 count. Otis tries to ground and pound Styles, but he fights to his feet and flips out of a backdrop suplex to make the tag to Ziggler. Ziggler hits a rising knee strike to Otis, but runs into a back elbow by Otis and is floored. Otis tags in Gable. Gable hits a suplex on Ziggler and hits his American Auto Mechanic German suplex. Gable climbs to the top turnbuckle. He misses the moonsault but lands on his feet. Ziggler hits a super kick. Otis breaks the pin attempt. Styles enters, but Otis catches his dive. Styles hits a Pele kick to clear out Otis, and Ziggler hits a zigzag on Gable to get the win. So Ziggler and Styles pick up the win. I gotta take a quick sip here. We go back to the announce table. The commentary runs down the card for SummerSlam, including a new match, the Mysterious versus the Judgment Day, in a no DQ match. Back in the arena, the Bloodline makes his entrance tonight. Main event is coming up next, but we first go to a commercial break. Back from the break, the Bloodline waits in the ring. The Street Profits make their entrance using the main stage. Riddle follows with an entrance. There was no pyro for Riddle's flip-flop kick thing. So we start off with Dawkins going against Jimmy. They lock up to start. Dawkins wins the first exchange with a flying back elbow for a quick pin attempt. He tags in Ford, but for some double team offense. Jimmy pushes through into his corner and tags in Jay. Jay chokes Ford across the middle rope, and Jimmy does the same behind the referee's back. The crowd is chanting for the Usos. Ford hits a dropkick and tags in Riddle. Riddle fires away with kicks in the corner. Jimmy charges but ends up going over the top rope to the floor. Ford enters and hits a flip dive to Jimmy on the floor. We go to a commercial break. Back from the break, Jay is in control of Riddle. Jimmy Smith says the Usos fight harder when they are there in a match alongside Reigns. Reigns finally tags into the match after much stalling and posing. Reigns repeatedly clotheslines Riddle in the corner. The crowd counts along. Reigns hits a flying clothesline that floors Riddle. Reigns hits a vertical suplex that gets a 2 count. Reigns tags in Jay. Jay hits an uppercut and sends Riddle reeling into the corner. Jay misses a splash into the corner. Riddle tags forward and hits a big clothesline and a series of kicks. Reigns makes a blind tag and catches Ford with a Uranagi for a 2 count. Reigns brings Ford into the corner and tags Jimmy. We see Ford is bleeding from the face. Jimmy rains down with elbow strikes and a headbutt for a 2 count. Jay tags in, and the Usos hit a double team maneuver for a 2 count. We go to a commercial break. Back from the break, Jimmy is working on Ford. He chokes him across the middle rope. They replay Reigns throwing Ford headfirst into the top turnbuckle as the moment when Ford was busted wide open. Back live, Reigns has tagged in and hits a drive-by dropkick. Reigns punches down Ford in the corner. Reigns poses for the crowd and sets up for a Superman punch. Dawkins distracts Reigns and Ford hits a blockbuster. Both men are down. Ford tags in Riddle. Jimmy also tags in. Riddle runs wild on both Usos. Both get exploder suplexes and brotons. Riddle goes for the draping DDT, but gets blocked. Riddle hops on. Riddle hops out to the apron and hits floating bro on both Usos. Riddle sends Jimmy into the ring. Riddle hits a power slam, but Riddle makes a blind tag and hits a Superman punch. Dawkins breaks up the pin attempt. Ford dives onto Jay on the floor. Jimmy dives out onto Ford. Dawkins pounces both Usos into the timekeeper's area. Reigns throws Dawkins into the steel steps. Riddle catches Reigns coming back into the ring with a draping DDT. Riddle sets up for the RKO. Reigns powers out. Reigns hits a spear that gets the pin. So Reigns, the bloodline wins, basically. The bloodline congratulates one another outside the ring. Seth Rollins' music plays. He said he makes his entrance. Rollins strolls past Reigns in the entrance aisle. Rollins attacks Riddle, sends him outside the ring. Rollins runs down Riddle with the ring steps, hits the stomp on the arena floor. Rollins sets Riddle's head into the nook of the top half of the ring steps and is leaning on the bottom half, and then hits the stomp onto the rope. He hits the stomp onto the steps. Now that match is it's not discontinued, it's called off. So it's going to be basically an open challenge. I'm hoping it's this one person, because this will make Triple H's calling card. Will be his SummerSlam. It won't be his father-in-law's SummerSlam. On to SmackDown. Tonight's SmackDown will finally feature the much anticipated Irish Donnybrook match between Drew McIntyre and Sheamus as they fight to become the number one contender for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. SmackDown tonight will also feature the New Day versus the Viking Raiders, as well as Lacey Evans taking on Aaliyah in singles action. So we start off with Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. Before our opening match can officially begin, Sheamus runs out to assault McIntyre before his entrance. The two fight down to the ring, and Sheamus throws McIntyre into the ring, officially begin the match. McIntyre hits a big lariat and follows up with a Michinoku driver outside the ring. Sheamus grabs a shillelagh, and McIntyre avoids it, but is hit with a lariat to send the two outside the ring. McIntyre pulls out a table from under the ring, but Sheamus stomps him with a strike to the back, and Sheamus throws McIntyre to the steel stairs. Sheamus sets up the table on the outside and back in the ring. Sheamus hits McIntyre with a shillelagh repeatedly. Sheamus hits the 10 beats of Bataran with the shillelagh outside the ring. Sheamus tries to suplex McIntyre through the table, but McIntyre counters with a suplex of his own. McIntyre throws Sheamus headfirst through the stack of barrels outside. We come back from commercial break. Sheamus is hitting McIntyre with a body slam. Sheamus picks up a chair and hits McIntyre with it several times to the back. McIntyre hits a belly-to-belly throw and follows with a neck breaker. McIntyre throws several steel chairs in the ring, and Sheamus throws a chair directly to McIntyre's face. Sheamus goes for white noise on the chairs, but McIntyre counters to hit the Future Shock DDT on the chairs. McIntyre then makes the cover for a 2 count. Rich Holland runs in the ring to hit McIntyre with a shillelagh. Sheamus hits the bro kick and covers for a 2. McIntyre goes outside and hits Holland with a belly-to-belly throw through the table. Come back from commercial break. The match continues with McIntyre going for a superplex that Sheamus counters with a headbutt. McIntyre is able to hit with a belly-to-belly throw off the top. Outside the ring, McIntyre throws Sheamus through a bar counter set up at ringside. McIntyre turns around and Butch dives off the Tower of Barrels to take out McIntyre. Sheamus follows up by hitting with a bar stool. Sheamus lifts McIntyre up to the top rope, and Sheamus hits an avalanche white noise, and Sheamus covers for a 2. Butch pulls out a giant shillelagh from under the ring and hands it to Sheamus. McIntyre dodges and hits the Glasgow Kiss. Butch runs in, and McIntyre hits both him and Sheamus. McIntyre goes for the Claymore, but Sheamus moves and Butch hits it. Sheamus hits the bro kick and covers for a 2. Sheamus goes for another bro kick, but McIntyre catches him and lifts him for a powerbomb through the table. McIntyre hits a Claymore and makes the cover for the 3 count. So McIntyre will be facing either Theory, Brock Lesnar, or Roman Reigns at Clash of the Castle. And I will be covering that whole weekend. Between that, there is an NXT pay-per-view, and we're going to have All Out. Where's the Starbucks when you need it? McIntyre is interviewed after the match. McIntyre celebrates his victory and thanks the crowd when he is assaulted by Theory, hitting him with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Back live with Happy Corbin sitting in the crowd right behind Pat McAfee, while Corbin holds up a ticket preventing McAfee from doing anything. McAfee and Michael Cole run down the SummerSlam card, while Corbin antagonizes McAfee from the crowd. Eventually, McAfee gets right in Corbin's face as security holds the 2 back. Corbin throws a bag of popcorn in McAfee's face, and Corbin jumps the barricade and hits McAfee with a low blow. We go to commercial, and we come back. Aaliyah versus Shotzi. Before the bell, Michael Cole reveals commentary that Aaliyah's scheduled opponent, Lacey Evans, was not medically cleared tonight. The match begins with a lockup. Aaliyah hits a Fez press and hits a series of right hands. Shotzi slams Aaliyah to the mat by her hair, and Shotzi stomps. Aaliyah repeatedly in the corner. Shotzi locks a Boston Crab. Aaliyah rolls over and kicks Shotzi to the head to break the hold. Aaliyah hits a meteor off the ring apron, but Shotzi slams her off the ring post. Back in the ring, Shotzi hits the Never Wake Up cover for 3. Shotzi picks up the victory. So we have, after the commercial break, we have Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey versus Sonya Deville. But they had this confrontation in the back, and so Ronda came out, did something with Shotzi. He beat the crap out of her, told her to get out of the ring. So we come back from commercial. We finally get this match. So the match begins with Natalya shoving Rousey. Rousey hits an arm drag takedown. Natalya reverses and locks in an armbar. Rousey escapes and tags in Morgan, who hits a Hurricane Rana. Deville tags in and hits a series of kicks to Morgan in the corner. Morgan escapes the corner and hits a drop kick. Morgan hits a running knee in the corner, and Rousey makes a blind tag. Rousey throws Deville outside the ring, and Morgan makes a blind tag back. Right back. Rousey and Morgan begin to argue, and Deville pulls Morgan off the apron and throws her to the barricade. Natalya comes out to hit Morgan with a snap suplex. We come back from a commercial. Deville is slamming Morgan's face into the turnbuckle. Deville hits a running knee and covers for a 2 count. Natalya is tagged in, and Natalya and Deville hit a double-team vertical suplex. Natalya has Morgan in a headlock, and Morgan tries to break free, but Natalya slams her to the mat. Natalya goes for the sharpshooter, but Morgan breaks free. Morgan hits a code breaker and goes to tag Rousey. But before making the tag, she turns around and covers Natalya for a 2 count. Natalya slams Morgan to the corner and tags in DeVille. Morgan hits DeVille with a step up enziguri, and Morgan crawls to the corner, but again refuses to tag Rousey and runs back and is hit with a lariat from Natalya, who covers for a 2. Morgan again goes to the corner, but Rousey makes the tag before Morgan has a chance to turn back. Again, Rousey hits the Piper's Pit to DeVille. Natalya attacks Rousey from behind, but Morgan runs in to make the save. Rousey locks in the ankle lock, and DeVille taps out. So Ronda and Liv win. Let me take a sip. I'm dying of thirst today. If I told you what I have for dinner tonight, you would understand why I'm so thirsty. We come back from commercials. SmackDown returns with the Usos and the Street Profits in the ring. The two teams are made. The two teams are meet by SummerSlam guest referee Jeff Jarrett. Are met, who comes to say there are things he needs to go over before the title match. Jay Uso interrupts an all-out screaming match breaks out as far once in his career Jeff Jarrett restores order. Jarrett says his only job tomorrow is to count the 3 count. Jarrett says that for tonight they have something to settle. Dawkins and Ford drop the mics and attack the Usos. The brawl breaks out and Jay Uso accidentally hits Jarrett with a super kick. Jay tries to apologize, but Jarrett gets up and shoves both Usos. Dawkins takes the opportunity to knock both Usos out of the ring. Ford hits a dive over the top rope to take them both out. So we have the New Day versus the Viking Raiders. The match begins with Eric slam Woods to the corner. Eric goes for a powerbomb, but Woods counters into a roll-up for a 2 count. Kingston tags in and hits a flying crossbody. Eric hits with a drop kick, and Ivar is tagged in. Ivar throws Kingston over the top rope and hits a running splash to Kingston on the barricade. Come back from commercial, back live with Ivar hitting Kingston with a lariat. Ivar hits Kingston up, but Kingston hits with the SOS. Kingston and Woods are both tagged in. Woods hits a Russian leg sweep. Ivar runs in, and Woods hits a drop kick. Woods hits the Tornado DDT and covers for a 2. Kingston tags in, and Kingston hits a top rope splash and covers. But Ivar breaks it up. Eric hits a knee to the face, and Ivar tags in, and Eric and Ivar hit powerbomb, and Ivar covers for the 3 count. So the Viking Raiders pick up the win. SmackDown returns live with Paul Heyman in the ring. Heyman says that Reigns will soon become the first champion in over 30 years to hold the world title for 700 days. Heyman says Reigns will stand over a defeated Lesnar and hold his 2 titles in the air as the last man standing, and we will be done with Brock Lesnar once and for all. Lesnar's music hits, and Lesnar makes his way out. Heyman stands alone in the ring. Lesnar's assaulted from behind by Theory. Lesnar turns around and hits a German suplex, and Theory immediately flees as quickly as he can. Theory is hit by a Claymore by Drew McIntyre as SmackDown goes off the air. Now, I'm going to give you my preview and my predictions, basically. Most of I have acid coming up big time. the Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Reigns is going to win it. Does Theory cash in? Yes, and he fails by possibly John Cena fudging it up for a second time. The other time that was with Baron Corbin. SmackDown Women's Championship. Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey. I'm gonna take Liv Morgan. I'm gonna take Liv Morgan because she'll end up being easy prey for fucking Charlotte Flair. Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. I wouldn't put it past them putting it back on Lynch. McAfee versus Corbin. McAfee is going to win. He deserves a win at SummerSlam. The Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. The Usos and the Street Profits. Special guest referee, WWE Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett. The Usos are going to retain. They're not going to take the titles off until Roman finds a suitable opponent. United States Championship, Bobby Lashley versus Theory. Lashley is going to retain. Logan Paul versus The Miz. Logan Paul is going to win. The Mysterios versus the Judgment Day. No DQ. The Judgment Day is going to win, and something is going to come in, and the person who's going to either make their return is going to come in and reveal itself. Then it's going to be Edge. And then we have the Seth Rollins versus was supposed to be Riddle, but Riddle got injured, and I'm calling it Johnny Wrestling. Johnny Gargano is going to be coming back to WWE, and he's going to be defeating Seth Rollins. So 2 Triple H boys are going to be at it. So that's my predictions. I don't know if there are going to be any kickoff matches. If they are, and I hear about it, I'll just send everything out on Twitter. So that is it. I am going to go to bed. I got to get up early. I'm going to take a shower and the whole nine. So I'm hoping everybody's going to have a great Friday evening, almost Saturday morning. I will be back here at some point, hopefully maybe tomorrow night after SummerSlam, so I can do the review. But I'm also going to be I'm going to run through the card after my review of Flair's last match, and I'm going to do the review of that on Monday, okay? So I want everybody to have a great Friday. I posted my episode 249. It's live on my YouTube channel, and this is supposed to be at 2 o'clock. So I'm at a party. I'm at my aunt's house, or I'm at a party right now. So I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of my Friday, and I'll see you all, hopefully, fingers crossed, sometime Saturday evening after SummerSlam, and we're going to do the Ric Flair thing. We're going to give me the whole nine, okay? And don't forget, this coming Friday, episode 250 is going to be going live. I'll be live for that. So come and join me. Until then, have a great Friday. Have a great SummerSlam. And let's just enjoy this weekend. It's my family weekend. Uncle and grandmother are 60 and 40. 60 and 80. I'm 40. We're 20 years apart. It's hilarious. So have a good evening. Love you all. And I'll see you sometime tomorrow. Hopefully. All right? If I don't get home too late, okay? That is that. Love you all. Have a good evening. Bye.